So I'm going to start this video by mentioning that I'm not the biggest fan of isekai as a genre. It's not like it's anything personal. I just, a lot of it can tend to be more harem fix, and, I'm not really into that kind of thing. So, when it comes to looking for interesting anime that I'm willing to watch, I tend to be a lot more selective. And so this show, Ascendance of a Bookworm, was something that, I've kind of been eyeing for a bit. I've kind of been wondering. I have been interested in the premise, which, is a pretty simple premise. And, so I finally one day just kind of sat down and I took a chance on looking at it. And I have to say, I'm really glad that I did, because one thing this story does is it is clear what it's about. Like I said, the premise is simple. You have, an adult woman who is an avid bookworm, dies in, sort of like our regular world, and is reborn into a fantasy world that doesn't have anything that she's used to, including books. So, the books that they have are literally only for the nobles, and it's because they're expensive, the parchment paper, the covers, all of that. And so, you have this book lover who was trying to be a librarian, stuck in the body of a child without access to books. And so, that is the simplest, like, that's as simple as you can make it. And so, for her, you want to make books because you want to find books. And so, essentially it is a story of her essentially getting herself into a whole lot of trouble and into a whole lot of different, beneficial relationships just by being who she is. For her, her mind is fixated on finding books. She essentially decides to, she essentially decides to work for the church because they have books. And it's literally everything she does is just, to pursue being able to look at books. And so, I think that's really kind of what I enjoyed about the story. For her, her goal is clear. I want to read books. And if that means making books, that means making books because I need books. And her coming from essentially our modern world, the ideas and things that she has, you're going to want to bring kind of those creature comforts as well. So one of the first things she does is she develops, a formula for making handmade shampoo, essentially because she got tired of her scalp itching. And so, it's, when I think about this show, I think a lot about clarity of story and, just like the uniqueness of creating a character, because you have someone who, like in all things, you find someone who ends up being uniquely qualified for what they're doing. She's someone who, she loves books. So, the idea of learning, the writing system and the numbering system and things like that, it makes sense because, she's a grown woman in the body of a child. So all she needs is just that kind of understanding of how things look in this world, but she also, came, from a family where the mom loved doing handmade things. And so she took a lot of crafting classes, and those crafting classes, essentially aids her in this new world because it allows her to help develop things that make her comfortable. And then, because they've never been seen in her world, it also helps to set her up to, meet merchants and, help develop things and, essentially make her, like, put her in a place where she's able to make her own money and, figure out things kind of thing. So so it really kind of like, it really kind of it's a really good story. And I know I'm going to keep saying it's a good story because it is, because, it doesn't shy away from strong topics, which I really kind of enjoyed that aspect of it as well, that it didn't really, like, it didn't step away from hard topics. So it tackled sort of, in their religion with the church, who essentially had children starving, and sort of like the behavior that the nobles had toward, people that weren't them. And, so it definitely felt a lot more adult as a show. And, it was something that, it was something I was even able to share with my mom. And I can say she knows nothing about anything, Japan, anime, manga. Like, she knows nothing about anything. But, it's the kind of show that if she can sit down and she can watch it and she can say, man, this is really good, then I think you kind of have a really successful show. And so, yeah, I don't know that I really have anything bad to say about it, because it just, it was just kind of one of those things that it kind of put you a bit through a roller coaster. And, you kind of got it. Like, you enjoyed the main character. And I would say definitely one of the biggest enjoyments of this is the main character, in that even though she is extremely focused on one thing, which is getting access to books that she can read, even though she's really focused on that, she's doing a whole lot of things to kind of change the world around her. And, as part of her character, because she's so focused on the books and the reading and whatnot, she has no idea that, as you're turning the world on its head, you are actually, making it to where you are being noticed. So, where for her, the world she came from, people probably didn't pay attention to her because, she was someone who wanted to be a librarian. So you probably spent a lot of time at the library. You probably just spent all your time reading. You didn't really go out. You didn't really do anything. And suddenly you're in this world and you are doing things that make you comfortable, that allows you to be able to pursue your dream of, creating books. And yet, the things that you're doing are so incredible that, you really are putting yourself on the radar of people that, ultimately would be kind of dangerous to you. And so, what I like too about this show is, in that, you end up with people kind of rallying around her with a willingness to help protect her, who they don't really get it. They don't get it at all. They don't really know who she is. They don't really understand how she is. They don't understand her thought process, but they just know that, they can't just let anyone get their hands on her, because she's too useful. And, so it's, those relationships that she ends up building as a result of, just going throughout her day. I mean, it's really, you end up getting extremely invested in it. And so, I see that at some point we're going to have a third season, which I'm actually really excited about because, at the end of the first season, she ends up becoming an apprentice at the church. At the end of the second season, we now are acknowledging that she not only needed to be protected from the nobles at the church, she now needs to be protected from nobles, period. And so, I'm interested to see how that is going to work and shape, because, we're talking a girl who has parents who, though they don't understand her, they really love her, and they're just kind of going with it, and they're, aiding her as best as they can. She has a sister who, an older sister who's kind of doing the same thing. You don't really get it. You don't really understand, but, that you are willing to go out of your way to help her and, and love her and give her all that she kind of needs to go on about her day. So, you have all these people in her life that are, motivated. I can honestly say this is something that I am really, really, really interested in seeing where it's going. And it is a very high recommend for me because, as a show, it is just so fascinating, and it really is incredible as far as storytelling goes. So, at some point, I think I would like to sit down, maybe watch it again, and just kind of, dig a little bit deeper into how they tell the story and how it remains so clear and whatnot. But, that probably won't happen anytime soon. That's fine. For the moment, I think the takeaway is that this really is a show worth watching and worth investing yourself in, and worth, sort of picking apart and going, man, this is incredible. So yeah, that is going to be it for this video. If you like it, then hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do the bell stuff for notifications, share this, do all of that, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.